Hi everyone, my name is Deanna Hansen. I'm a certified athletic therapist and the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy.
And my name is Quinn Castellane. I'm the VP of Block Therapy and the lead block therapist.
Welcome to day 2 of the All Things Hip series. Today we're going to dive right in with the belly position just to get the breath going right on the belly button. So Quinn will start here.
All right. So Block Buddy will be flat on the floor directly over top of your belly button just like this. And the block will be horizontal to your mat. And then you can nice and slowly bring yourself directly onto the block. And then we can stay up on the elbows initially. And then once we've settled in, we can bring ourselves flat to the floor.
And to begin, always remember your breath is your guide. If we take you into any position where it takes your breath away, that's your body letting you know that that's too intense. As long as you're breathing, you're feeding and healing your cells. So we really start to understand the power of trusting the breath through this process. And to begin with, let's focus on the inhalation phase of the breath. Feel the belly pushing into the block and feeling or getting a sense that your body is lifting up off the block with that full inhalation. And always breathe in and out through the nose if you can. And just become aware of the sensations. If you joined the class yesterday, notice if it feels similar to yesterday. It might feel more pain, more pressure. As we start this process, we start pulling the toxins out of the tissue and it gets dumped into the bloodstream so the body can release it. So it's variable as to when and how and where you feel pain and to the degree. We're constantly changing in our tissue and our fascia. So just become aware of what you're sensing. You may notice a pulse, that's the aorta, and pressure and pain are all completely normal. Now let's take our attention to the exhalation phase of the breath. At this point, if you want to bring your rib cage down to the floor, the block will sink a little more deeply, but if it feels better to stay up on your elbows, do so. This can also be done on a bed and it will be less intense. But let's let your body weight and gravity do the work as the block sinks deeply into the core. Getting a sense of what's going on inside your body. The block connects and communicates with those deeper cells. And after the full exhalation, let's see if you can stay in that moment of no breath for a few moments before engaging the inhalation. And let's see if you can just slow that breath down a little bit more. We want the breath to be relaxed, but full and complete and in control. You may even notice along the way as you're starting this process that you have areas of the breath where you might feel a skip or a jump. That's really letting you know that the diaphragm isn't fully engaged yet. And it takes time for this to happen as we melt through these adhesions that we've created through our lifetime. We'll spend one more minute here. Just allowing your thoughts to be centered with the sensations, giving your mind a break from the thinking that we always engage in, being very present in the moment with this process. We'll take 3 more breaths here. And when you're ready, place your hands under your shoulders and exhale up off of the block.
All right.
All right, so we're going to start just with a bit of a standing action just to become aware with how those outer hips feel, and then we will revisit this again at the end of the class. So we're going to stand and we're going to have our feet greater than shoulder distance apart. And let's really pay attention to having the feet pointing forward. So then let's come down into a squat. And for this, you can stick your butt out behind you. And then what we're going to do is let's start with this left side. Let's shift our center of gravity over to the left. And we're going to do 5 where we exhale to standing and then inhale back down.
Yeah, and make sure you keep your root engaged. And as you come down, let's focus on having the knee over the second toe.
And we'll do one more. And then after you come down, let's bring our center of gravity back to center. And then shift over to the right side and we'll do the same. Exhale up. Inhale down.
And we're just using our left leg for support, so all of the exertion is coming through that right leg.
And one more. And then again, after you come back down, come back to center, and then exhale up. And then let's come back down to the floor. And we'll start on the right side today, because yesterday we started on the left.
Sounds good.
So we're going to begin in the hip flexor, but once we find the position, we're going to angle the block so the block is closer to the pubic bone. I'll show this as Quinn's getting into it. And then we're just going to roll 45 degrees to start to get that outer front edge of the pelvis opened.
And because I'm on my right side, I'm going to face the opposite way as we open up.
Perfect.
So the block will be positioned right on the hip flexor to start. So again, top of the leg, but just below this ASIS bone here. So you're not going to really be able to see me as I get into it here because I'm going to be opening up. So as you approach this, bend your opposite leg, your left leg to its side, and we're just going to start off like this.
Yeah, and I just wanted to get everybody into position just so that you can find that correct alignment. And then once you feel nice and stable, let's just take that block and we're going to angle it down toward the pubic bone.
So I'm just going to open up just so that you can see I angled the block down towards the pubic bone.
And you may even need to slide a little over to the left so that you can roll a little to the right. So when you're ready, we're going to take the left hand to the left side of the mat, push in and roll about 45 degrees. Find a nice spot there?
Definitely.
Yeah. I love doing these rolls and getting into these outer positions. Is really wonderful to, create such a shift in the alignment of the hip joint. Let's really engage that full exhalation here.
And you can have your hand planted on the floor. I'm just going to go like this so you can see where the block is positioned.
And for some of you, this alone will be more than enough sensation. However, if you want to engage and go a little deeper, connect to that root, and then let's lift up that left leg and create the right leg, and create some internal rotation. So turning the toes in toward the body. And then you can even work by lifting that leg up a little higher. And just play around with some movements. You're wanting to open up to as many adhesions, as many pain points as you can find in here. Because we don't stand with perfect balance and symmetry in our bodies, what happens is the hip joint will rotate and push up against the pelvis, taking away that space for movement. And this is where the cartilage starts to wear. It creates inflammation and restricts range of motion, as well as creates lots of pain. So we're working in here to maneuver in between the hip and the pelvis to pull that fascia out of the way so that we can open up that space and improve that blood and oxygen flow to those cells. And then at any time, if you've been working the hip, let's bring that leg down and just relax and allow yourself to sink a little more deeply into the joint. And then you can engage again and work at it from a different depth. We'll spend about 1 more minute here, really working that full exhalation. That's the driver of moving the toxins out of the cells, of really heating up the body. And we'll take 3 more full, slow breaths here. And when you're ready, come back down to neutral. And then let's just adjust the block. So again, it's in that initial hip flexor position.
Right, so the block is horizontal to the mat.
And then we're simply going to slide over to the furthest left portion. And from there, we're going to roll over to the side. So again, you might need to slide once you roll, but having it first in that hip flexor position will give us the distance between the top of the pelvis so that we can drive the block between the hip joint and the pelvis, which is the goal here. And for some of you, if you need to have cushions under your rib cage, that's totally fine. But if you're supporting yourself with your elbow, let's just look and check that the elbow is underneath the shoulder joint so we're not straining that upper body needlessly. You feel nice and positioned here? So let's just take a few moments, connect to the breath. You can even place your left hand on your belly to ensure the breath is coming from the right place. And then, again, for some of you, this may be more than enough. Otherwise, if you feel you can, slowly roll forward and back to begin with, nudging that block to go a little bit deeper between your hip and pelvis. If your neck is starting to fatigue at all, you can look down toward the floor. Nice. I was just going to say that to do that. So Quinn's now lifted that right leg up off the floor. I'm all backwards right now. The right leg up off the floor. That's another wonderful thing. It's going to actually help to strengthen the adductors as well as assist in driving that block more deeply between the hip and the pelvis. And if you can, let's even do 5 pulses where we're going to lift that leg up. And then as we exhale, we're going to pulse the leg up toward the ceiling. Inhale, just bring it down slightly, and then exhale and pulse up. And then bring the leg back down and just relax everything and feel yourself sinking a little more deeply. We'll just take 3 more full, slow exhalations here. And when you're ready, you can place your top hand on the floor and let's exhale up. How you doing?
Ooh, doing good.
Good. So now we're going to take the block right on top of that ASIS bone. So now, Quinn, you can have your head facing this way.
So we're still on that right side. And the block will be positioned, as Deanna mentioned, right on that bone. So the block, we'll just keep the block flat for this one. And you're approaching it very similar to the hip flexor position. And you can bend your opposite leg, so your left leg out to its side, and then you can start up on your elbows.
Or you can even bring your rib cage to the floor. If you're fatigued up here, you can have cushions under your rib cage. Now, this is a very interesting sensation and can be incredibly painful. So we're just going to take our time here. There's no need to move much, even at all, for some people, because the fascia grips and adheres to bone. And this whole pelvis area is a big landing point for the fascia to hold and to twist. So we really want to spend some time here and help to release from the bone. And the results are incredible freedom in the pelvis and hips. So for some of you, this may be as far as you go. If you do want to start exploring, just very slowly, start to roll left to right. Just get a sense of how it feels in there. As always, like any other position, we're looking for that pain.
I'm going to be honest, Deanna, I don't have to look. It's just very intense.
Yes, I know it is. I was a volleyball player and had some, they're called hip pointers when you actually land on your hips, and had some extensive damage in there. So for me, this position is also extremely painful. However, the benefits are incredible. If it's too much to have your body on the block, the bed is a nice option as well. You can also put a towel over it to start to give yourself a little more cushion if you need to do that. It's weird hearing you call me Deanna.
I know.
You never do that.
It sounded weird coming out.
Use your breath, exhaling fully, feeling the belly lifting up into the core, even imagining your belly button making contact with the front of your spine. And the sensation is a burning sensation from my perspective, because we're peeling the fascia from the bone here. And there's a lot of nerves, there's a lot of blood vessels, a lot of things that get trapped in the freeze. So as we're melting, you may experience some pretty interesting sensations down the legs, into the perineum, around the area, all totally normal. Oh, look at you. You're ramping it up.
Well, it's not as intense when I'm up like this.
Okay.
So if anyone's in a lot of pain and they're laying flat, try it on your elbows.
We'll spend one more minute here. Really use your breath to move the pain out, to heat the area. Are you getting into some good sensation now?
Yeah, it's definitely a better sensation.
And pressure overrides pain. So when we're in these painful positions, if we give ourselves that time to simply be there and to send that blood there, those pressure fibers kick in and the sensation changes. 3 more full breaths. And when you're ready, place your hands under your shoulders and carefully exhale up.
Okay.
So just sit cross-legged and see how that hip feels now.
Oh yeah, that did a lot. I could feel it releasing even just on the block, so that was good.
Ready to go right over to that left side?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so the left hip flexor position to begin, and then we're going to angle and we're going to roll 45 degrees.
All right, so I am getting into it this way, so you won't be able to see the block as well, but I will be opening up. So have the block on its side, horizontal to the mat, again, just below that bone here, so it's right at the top of the leg, and then you can bend your right leg to its side. And then do you want us to angle now, Dee?
Once you feel that you've positioned yourself properly, then take the block and angle it down toward the pubic bone.
All right. So about 45 degrees or so.
So we've started here and then we angle down like that.
Perfect. And I'll just open up so you guys can see.
And once you're there, you might have to slide a little to the right side just so that when you do roll, you've got enough space on the block there.
And do you want us to roll?
Yeah, you can roll now to 45 degrees, supporting yourself with that right knee and the right hand if you need. And if you already know that you want to explore with that leg, you can lift it up, you can play around, turning the toes toward the floor, turning the toes out. So that's internal and external rotation. All of those are going to open up this hip joint to new adhesions that you can melt. And that's the goal. You become a pain seeker because pain equals restriction in tissue or adhesion. So when we follow the path of pain, we are very efficient at melting through and creating change.
And you don't have to lift your right leg off of the floor. I'm just doing this for a little more added pressure and so that you guys can see the position of the block.
And also let's just check in where that elbow is in relation to the shoulder. We don't want to stress that upper body needlessly. Staying focused on that full exhalation each breath. And if you have been active, just give yourself a moment to relax and see if you can nudge the block a little more deeply. When we're active, we're holding ourselves up on the block a little differently than when we fully relax and everything can sink in. And then from that space, engage again, and then you'll be working those adhesions again more deeply right into that hip joint. We'll just spend one more minute here. Let's see if we can even slow that breath down. Feel that you have full control of your engine. The more control you have, the more control you have of your inner environment. So again, even when there's stressful situations externally, your internal environment doesn't have to be under stress. And 3 more breaths here. And then when you're done, let's just roll back to the initial position and then adjust the block so it's horizontal again as we started in the initial hip flexor position. And then take yourself to that furthest right edge so you can now roll onto the side. And you may need to slide. You look as though you're going to fall off there, but...
No, I'm okay here,
okay.
Yeah.
And again, check in your elbow-shoulder alignment.
Yeah, always thinking shoulders back and down.
You can have cushions under your rib cage if you need the support here for that. This is a really nice one to do in bed as well because it does go deep. It can be quite painful. And in bed, you can have as many cushions as you want and stay there as long as you want. It might be less intense, but if you stay for 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to be melting a little more slowly, but as deeply, and it's a really beautiful sensation. I love doing this one in bed.
Yeah, this can be a very, very tender position for people, especially for me.
But having said that, if you're struggling with a spare tire around your waist, this will be one of those really powerful positions to create a shift in the alignment of your waist.
That's what happened to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I bet everybody's ears perked up with that.
Well, it's crazy. You would never think that.
Yeah, we always want to go to the space to work on it when it's the areas around it that are really important to release. Now, if we can, let's engage that left
Left.
leg. I'm so backwards today. Left leg. Lift it up, and then let's do a pulse for 5 if you choose. Exhale, bring that leg up. Inhale, slightly drop. 5 of those. And then bring that leg back down. And we're just going to take 3 more full, slow breaths here. As you relax, allow the block to sink a little more deeply. And when you're ready, use your top hand to assist you as you exhale up.
All right.
And now we're going to do the ASIS on the left hip bone. Sorry, did I say that right?
Yeah, left.
Right.
We're on the left.
That class last night just took my thoughts away here.
So it'll look just like this, right on the bone. Block will be horizontal, and then you can bend your opposite leg, so your right leg to its side. And literally the bone will be directly over top of the block. And you can start up on your elbows. For me, it's more intense when I came down to, more intense when you come down to the floor. So I'm gonna stay up here, and then I may work towards the floor, and then I may come up and down a bit. So that's up to you.
And also pay attention to the difference in sensations from one side to the other. We are anything but symmetrical. We shift and one side of the pelvis will roll forward, the other one will roll back. That's totally normal. That can also hike up a leg, so it might appear we have a leg length difference. With the exception of a fracture or a congenital issue from birth, it's going to generally become from alignment if you have a leg length, not the actual leg being a different length. So this is all something that we can work to correct through releasing the pelvis and bringing proper alignment into play. Really using your breath, even imagining black smoke leaving your nose as you exhale fully, all of the toxins, the byproducts of functioning, like exhaust from a car. All these cellular actions create waste, and we want to move them efficiently out of the body so they don't make the area dirty as well. So the breath is the key to keeping the flow in the cells, and that's what we ultimately need. As long as cells are fed and clean, they're happy, they're doing their job, and they're not screaming at us. It's when we ask the cells to work and they don't have what they need that they first say hi with pain, and then if we ignore that, then other symptoms arise. So we want to pay attention to the pain, because the pain is simply a language that the cell gives you to let you know that it needs something, and what it really needs is flow. We'll spend 1 more minute here. And for the last 3 full exhalations, let's see if we can exhale fully and hold for a moment before engaging the inhalation. And when you're ready, place your hands under your shoulders and exhale up.
Whew.
How you feeling?
Really good.
Okay, let's get back up to that initial postural exercise we did. So feet greater than shoulder distance apart. You want to have your toes pointing forward. Come down into a squat. Let's make sure that root is connected. And again, let's start over with that left side like last time, shifting the body weight. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, come down. We're doing 5 of these on each side.
And feel the glutes engage, feel the quads engage, of course. Keeping that knee over the second toe.
One more here. And then from down, let's go back to center and then over to the right. And then exhale up. Are you feeling some change and some greater range for you, Quinn?
100%.
Nice. Perfect. Let's do one more. And then back to center. Exhale up and come back down to seated.
Whew, okay.
Feedback.
That was an awesome class. I can't, that ASIS bone is like screaming. And for those who may be new to block therapy and you're a little skeptical, like why are we actually working on the bone? But that's where the fascia really loves to grip and hook onto. So it's when we fall out of alignment, that's when the fascia grips and hooks onto bone to prevent us from falling further out of alignment. So it's very important not just to work more of the muscles or the tissue, but to everything, because the fascia holds us literally and connects us head to toe.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day.